Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is TJ Jones, and welcome to the Therapy Couch Podcast. This is the podcast where we focus on mental health and mental wealth. So, thank you all for tuning in. And if this is your first time checking it out, hopefully it won't be your last. And this will be the final time that we go live on the State of the Saints podcast YouTube channel. If you have not already, please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search the Therapy Couch Podcast. And y'all know how we do it. Look, I'm excited to do a show. I know what everybody's excited about, especially if you're listening on the State of the Saints podcast. But we're going to hold that off because we're going to do a show immediately following the Therapy Couch podcast. All right. So for all those people out there that's excited just as much as me, just hold all that enthusiasm because right after this show, we're going to be talking what everybody wants to talk about, those that are following on the State of the Saints podcast. But thank y'all for tuning in. Hope everybody had a good week so far. Good weekend. I had a good weekend, man. My son Paxton is trying to learn how to swim. He's been taking swimming lessons for about a month now, and that's been an experience, man. He's doing pretty good, but the biggest issue that he has is jumping into the pool, man. The instructor trying to get him to jump into the pool, and he's so afraid to do it, man. And it's weird because this boy jumps off everything. He jumps off the couch. He jumps off tables. But for some apparent reason, he can't jump into the pool, man, even when my arms are outstretched. But we're working on it, man, and he's doing a really good job. Got about 3 more lessons left, and he should be done, man. He should be ready to be the next Michael Phelps. But that's what my weekend was, man. But, it's finally stopped raining around here, which is a great thing. So that's a plus. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Those that y'all know what to do, man. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and put those into the chat. But we're going to be talking about, if you've seen the title, Rome wasn't built in a day. All right, Rome wasn't built in a day. We all heard that saying before. We all heard Rome wasn't built in a day. And what it means is, change doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's steps that you have to take in order for you to create the change that you want. And I thought that this would be a great topic because we all deal with change. Some positive, some negative, right? Some of us have to deal with change when it comes through tragedy, right? When things are tragic, when something bad happens in your life, you have to kind of go through the motions in order for you to get back to being yourself. And then there are people, hello, son. And then there are people who create this change, for the betterment of themselves, right? But I think what people go wrong, I think they go wrong when they try to make quick changes, when they try to go out here and just try to change overnight. Change has to gradually happen, right? Especially when you're trying to better yourself. I think people become too hard on themselves when they try to create this overall change overnight. And I want to let everybody know that that's not a good thing. And I've been in that position where I was trying to change a little bit too quick. Rather it was when I was trying to go to the gym, right? You want those instant results, right? You want to be cock diesel, after 2 weeks, right? And if you're not, then all of a sudden, you get frustrated, and all of a sudden, you end up quitting. That's what a lot of people might do, right? If you're not getting the results that you want right away, then all of a sudden you just basically ball it up, throw it in the trash. I tell people that ask me about podcasting, people that talk about starting their own business, I tell this to people, if you're trying to make a quick dollar, if you're just trying to look at somebody else, if you're saying, oh man, they can do it, I know I can, that's not the right thing to do, right? Because if things don't come out right out the starting gate success, then all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself scratching that idea. People need to understand to learn that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I know we heard that before. My biggest issue when I was started out doing podcasts is that I had absolutely no passion behind it. Like, seriously, I was a guy right out of Jackson State, you know, went to broadcasting school. I was out in Dallas, Texas at the time. Some of y'all know I stayed out in Dallas right after I graduated. And I was going to broadcasting school and I started to learn a little bit of my craft. And, I read a few books, I mimicked a few of these shock jocks out there. And I thought I was ready to take on the world. I thought, man, my gift of gab, my ability to be able to be on the air and do broadcasting and generate this type of buzz, I thought for sure like all of my financial issues was going to be over, all these things, right? I was like, man, as soon as I get out there, I know that I'm going to be a smash hit. I started off doing podcasting on this little website called Spreaker. Some of y'all probably heard of it. I encourage everybody, if you're trying to start off your podcasting game and trying to work on your craft, I encourage you to do Spreaker. That's a good starting point. But I started off doing celebrity news. And, I was like, man, I can't go wrong with this. Everybody likes celebrity news. But there was one small problem. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it. I just thought that it was what everybody wanted to hear. And as soon as things didn't work out, I quit because there was absolutely no passion behind it. I was trying to be like Charlemagne the God. I was trying to be like Howard Stern. I was trying to be, to a certain degree, Don Imus. You know what I'm saying? Controversial figures who, that thing worked for them. I still didn't find out what worked for me. And I was completely impatient. I was impatient about a lot of things in my life, where I wanted to go, the car that I drive, the apartment that I was in, all these different things. Man, I was just impatient. I wanted more. And that hurt me, man. I made some really, really stupid decisions. Like really stupid decisions. Like it used to be to a point, I'll never forget this. I was at Jackson State. And we were on the yard. And right after Hurricane Katrina, I ended up going to Jackson State. Now, because I went to Jackson State, they had free enrollment to anybody that was, affected by Katrina. So I went my first semester to Jackson State for absolutely nothing. I ain't pay for nothing, right? I ended up taking a refund check that I got, and I bought a 2000 Ford Escort. I bought a 2000 Ford Escort, a little two-door coupe. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about here. And I liked the car, man. It was a good starter car. I was a late bloomer. I got my driver's license when I was 19, and I was okay with the car, man. This was during the time, the cars really didn't have, you had the little cassette tape and you can plug that into your CD player, be able to bump, your music and stuff like that. I was content. That was all until one day I was on a yard and the song How You Riding by Webby came out. Y'all know that song, How You Riding, big rims with the seat vent and my rims way bigger. Y'all know that. Y'all know the joint, right? But anyway, so I'm up there mimicking the song and all that kind of stuff. And the girl clowned me about my car. She was like, yo, your rims ain't that big. You're on that small little Escort you got. Oh man, that was a shot to my pride, bro. That was a shot to my pride, right? Because I'm like, man, I thought I was doing all right for myself. But because I wasn't sure about myself and I wanted something really, really fast, and what in the influence of what that girl said to me, I ended up buying a Mitsubishi Galant. Nice car, you know what I'm saying? 05, you know what I'm saying, from the local dealership. That was one small problem. I was not ready to get that car. I was like a senior in college at the time, barely had any money. But at the same time, my mind frame was like, man, ain't nobody gonna talk about me now because I'm riding clean. But it was a dumb decision. Needless to say, my car got repoed. Like a couple of years later, I was able to, kind of navigate, but it ended up getting repoed because I was not ready. Right now, I had a car that I bought with cash, no note, no nothing. Right? Probably could have, I'm saying, the car was pretty good. I mean, I traveled quite a bit in it, I'm saying, and it did me well. Now I could have kept that, but instead, I wanted something way too fast. Whether it was from influence or not having this self-confidence about myself to say, man, forget it. I'm okay. I'm riding clean. I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something even bigger along the way. Now, I tell that story to people right now because there's probably somebody out there right now that's trying to do something a little bit too fast. There's probably somebody out there that's probably being influenced by what they see around them, whether it's people next door, whether it's social media. Something is influencing you, but I'm encouraging you to think about this saying: Rome wasn't built in a day. Just because you're not an overnight success doesn't mean success isn't coming, right? Just because things aren't happening right now doesn't mean that it won't happen later. We're all farmers at the end of the day, whether you want to be or not. And if you're not, you have an opportunity to be a farmer. What do farmers do? They lay seeds down and they plant the seed, they water the seed, and they do everything they have to do in order for their crops to grow. The seed planting is coming up with ideas. It's coming up with a strategic plan. It's mapping out your dream. And when you plant those seeds, have an appreciation for the process. See, if you start thinking about 4 weeks, 8 weeks from now, I'm going to have, this, but you have to have an appreciation for the process. You got to have appreciation for the crop dusting. You got to have appreciation for the watering and the nurturing of the harvest that you have going forward. If you don't, then you're going to find yourself overwatering your crops. And if you do that, then it's going to end up not being a really good season for you. So don't be upset that things aren't happening the way that you want them to happen. You could end up like me, having your car repoed and having to have to build your way back up from stupid decisions that you made. I mean, I wish it would stop there, but it was a lot of things that I did that I regret. Like, just things that I wanted too fast. Like, I had a 1-bedroom efficiency and I ended up trying to get a townhome. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was just me. Like, just stuff like that. When you try to shoot out there too fast, right? You might wind up, falling flat on your face, or you may, might not have the results that you want. So once again, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I hope that story can, touch somebody, and hope somebody think about, that story and apply it to their lives. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and read some of your comments. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate that. Shouts out to everybody here. Jared says we're here to clear our minds. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Jared. Thank you for being here, man. Chemo says smash that like button. Thank you, man. Chemo also says I'm thinking of putting my daughter in swimming lessons next year. She turns 3 in December. Yeah, look, I don't know how to swim. I'm being real. Look, some of y'all know I'm talking about here. If you grew up where I grew up, you didn't have no pool, man. Like they had like the pool that was on Louisa Street, but there was no way in hell my mom was gonna let me go over there. All the stuff that's going on. Like, my mom was a little bit overprotected. She didn't really let us go too far, so we really didn't have those opportunities to swim and stuff like that. And my wife, they had like opportunities. Rather, she grew up in Montgomery, and then she moved to Tuskegee, and they had like rec centers and stuff like that where they can go swimming. From what she told me, her sister is a pretty good swimmer, so she wanted Paxton to have that opportunity. And I'm glad, what I'm saying, because you want your kids to be able to do things and experience things that you didn't experience, and the fact that he can do something that I didn't have the privilege of doing when I was young, it's pretty special, so least if I fall in the water, he'll be able to save me. Adjusting can be an issue for those who are comfortable with whatever they are used to. Yeah, that's the thing. Complacency can be your biggest enemy. It can, because when you get a little bit too comfortable, you start putting your feet up, you know what I'm saying? You know where all the light switches are. I use that example all the time, knowing where the light switches are. And that's, what I'm saying? Like, but sometimes you got to get outside your comfort zone. I just feel like we put ourselves in this box and we don't even try to navigate out. There's so much stuff outside of the box that we can explore, but we're so afraid to, dip our foot in uncharted waters, right? So don't be afraid to take a risk. I'm not saying go out there and go bungee jumping or skydiving or something, but something that is very unconventional of you, because you might end up learning something about yourself that you didn't even know. I mean, if you feel like you know everything about yourself, then it's probably time to take on new challenges. So, but just experience different things. I guarantee you're going to be happy and excited that you made that decision. Don't get complacent. Complacency is is the enemy of us all. I'm just being serious. Let me see. I got the Kia with the wood grain. Yeah, you would. Yeah, you was lame. Diff said. Yeah, man. Look, I had the Ford Escort, man. Look, growing up as a kid, you know, my mom, you know what I'm saying, didn't really drive that much, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time we walk because, man, shoot, you grow up and you're trying to do the best that you can. And that's why I said, man, I got my driver's license when I was 19. And I honestly, I know I probably wouldn't have got my driver's license when I did if Katrina didn't hit, because I ended up moving to Vicksburg, Mississippi. And, if you go to Vicksburg, they got some open spaces and stuff like that. So I had opportunity to, learn how to drive. I actually got my car before I got my license. I actually learned how to drive by driving my own car, so I wouldn't have had that opportunity in New Orleans. I know I wouldn't have. So Katrina was a tragedy. It really was. And we lost everything. But in some ways, it did open up opportunities. Now, some people may not want to admit that, but some people might end up, doing things they probably wouldn't have never done if they probably would have stayed in a city like that. So there are silver linings in those dark clouds. So I have an appreciation for that. You're not by yourself, bro. We all been there and done that. Look, I'm just being real, man. Look, I ain't trying to sugarcoat. I know people like try to put on this facade, try to pretend like they're perfect, man. I've made some really dumb decisions in my life, and some of them, you know what I'm saying, still try to make up for it today. Like that just, but that's all a part of being human. I mean, you learn from the situations and you become better in the process, right? So don't ever just feel like you can't get out of a situation, but learn from those situations. Don't just try to do the same thing over and over again, and expect a different result, because that's insanity. When we all know we don't want to be insane. I'm scroll down a little bit. What do farmers and DJ have in common? They like to turn up the beats. That's a good one right there. Good dad joke for all my fathers out there. My mom says, hi, everyone. Shouts out to my mom being here. I think my mom enjoyed this show more than State of the Saints. But thank you for being here, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Anybody got anything to say? Feel free. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines right now. I'm going to go ahead and open up the line. Anybody got something to say, talk about, feel free to go ahead and chime in. In the meantime, I'll read some of these comments. I'm gonna stroll back up. But in the meantime, if you have not already, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the Therapy Couch Podcast YouTube channel. Blessings, TJ. Appreciate that, JT. Thank you, man. Derek says, what's good, TJ and family, man? I'm good, man. Just talking about taking your time and life being a process. I mentioned that about the podcast thing. I mentioned that, because I don't know, man. I was just trying to find something that I felt like I can just, get some overnight success about. And it wasn't, what I'm saying, until like I really just kind of felt my lowest is when I kind of found my passion. Like I end up like moving from Mississippi to South Carolina. I mentioned that on a previous episode, but I was like at my lowest as far as right with depression and what I'm saying, hurt and pain. You know what I'm saying? But in the process, I was able to find something I was really passionate about because man, I really wasn't going to do broadcasting again. Like I was done with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was wondering to myself, like, did I really like broadcasting? Or did I feel like, oh, what I'm saying, this is something that you can do just to be able to do, get money or get paid or whatever. But it was like everything just started to like bring me back to broadcast. It's like no matter if I tried to get away from it, it's rather it was like an interview that I heard or music that I heard, or I mean the fact that I lived right around the corner. Coincidentally, right around the corner from a radio station that I worked at, that I work at to this day. I mean, it all brought me back there, but I knew that that was my purpose. But I was like, what is my passion? My passion was, the New Orleans Saints, talking sports. And I don't feel like that's a coincidence that that particular podcast clicked because, I love doing it. I don't, I'm passionate about my team. I'm passionate about sports. So just bring that all together. And I knew that I was passionate about it because the early stages of it, when I was trying to develop it, I became like obsessed with putting out content. And I didn't care. Like, I didn't care if people listened to it. I didn't care if I was an audience of one and that one being me. I just loved it. And I appreciated the process. That's why every milestone that I achieve as a podcaster or as a broadcaster, I take the moment to have a level of appreciation for it. Because, you might mess around and forget or lose that appreciation for the process. I think people need to appreciate the process. If you're like cooking a meal, right? If you cooking a meal and let's just say, for example, you're looking at a recipe and you go by that recipe and you get that, what I'm saying, you cook that meal exactly how the recipe is and it tastes really good. Now, if you're cooking for somebody like, man, what I'm saying, I just hope they like this. I hope they like this. But take the moment. Like if you put that spoon in your mouth and you taste that, that food and that ingredient hit right, have an appreciation for you going down the list, reading off that recipe and making it to perfection. A lot of people, we just think about the end result of what the end result is going to be, but appreciate the process because there are going to be individuals that are going to look at you and what you're going to say to them. I look at, I got to mention a sports example for this. The greatest wide receiver of all time, in my opinion, is Jerry Rice. And Jerry Rice went into the Hall of Fame a couple of years back. And one thing that stuck out to me about Jerry was when he said, I wish I would have appreciated it more. He said, I wish I would have lived in a moment. He said, every single day, he said, I woke up, I was just trying to be the best. And it just seemed like my career just kind of flew by because I didn't appreciate the moments. Even like when I won the Super Bowl, he said it just felt like it was just on to the next. And he was like, let me take this moment to kind of, live in a moment. Now think about this. Jerry Rice played 20 years, all those yards, all those touchdowns. And he looks back at his career as successful as it was, and he felt like he didn't have an appreciation for it. That's greatness personified right there. So no matter what you go through, no matter how much you achieve, appreciate the process. You might find yourself looking back like, man, like what happened? So appreciate those baby steps because those baby steps may be what you need in order to motivate you to take that next step. All right. So remember that, folks. Remember that. I said that to say when I moved to Baton Rouge, it was a huge adjustment for me after college. And I think that when I hit my lowest point, I had some real wake up calls. I'm glad I went through it. Look, sometimes, man, the worst things that happen in your life make you better. I say this all the time. Like before I met my wife, I was at my lowest. I was at, you know, I broke up, you know what I'm saying, with the girl I was dating. We had a long relationship. I ended up being at my lowest. But guess what? That particular situation made me who I was for my wife. Like, if the way that I was, the way that my mind frame was, the way that I act, the way that I behaved, there's no way in the world I would have been an ideal husband for my wife. Like my wife is like a blessing to me, and I feel like I found her at the right time in my life because I don't think I would have had that level of appreciation or been able to have this level of assurance about myself in order to sustain that relationship. Like sometimes, people are like, man, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Sometimes it is, but it's not at that particular time. And sometimes when you meet a person, you're probably all like upset and hurt and frustrated, and you're probably going through the motions, rather it was a previous relationship, a previous situation, and you can't compartmentalize what's going on. So you don't have that appreciation or you're not where you need to be. But I think about that lowest point. If I didn't have that lowest point, I wouldn't have moved to South Carolina. I wouldn't have met my wife and I wouldn't have my son. So sometimes those dark moments are lessons to build us up. You know what I'm saying? I think we look at bad moments and we just look at them as bad moments. It's two things that can happen. You can become a better person, or you can become a better person for somebody else, right? Because your story is somebody else's story. You're living for someone else, whether you know it or not. If you have kids, right? Let's just say, for example, teenage years, I don't know, early 20s, whatever. You have a bad moment when it comes to like relationships or friendships or something like that. If your kid goes through the same situation when they get older and they tell you about it, you'll know exactly what to say. You live your life for others, and you also live your life to create lessons not only for others but for yourself too. How much have you learned over the course of time? Like, just think back, like something that happened to you, that you can think of, and think about the lesson that you learned. And if that didn't happen, how would affect you today? I guarantee you there's a lesson in your life that happened to you that probably ended up, you may thought at the time was like the worst thing that ever happened. But when you look back, it's rather it made you a stronger person, or you're like, it made somebody else a better person because you used that same situation to help them. Right. So think about that. You speaking real talk, little bro. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you enjoying the show, man. Uh, I feel God set us up with people we think we love, but to only learn how to love in those failed relationships. Um, well, I think that he does. I think that I don't think anything is just, I think that everything is fate. You know what I'm saying? Rather it's not, rather it's positive or negative, because in the best situations you learn things, right? Let's just say love. Like, I'm serious, man. Like, I thought I knew what love was until I met my wife and until I held my 5 pound, 3 ounce son. Like, I can't explain it. I can't understand. Like, it's a level of love that I didn't even think that I can even muster up. But when I look at them, like let's just say if I'm after a podcast, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? My wife and Paxton up there sleep. Sometimes I just sit in the, you know what I'm saying, the doorway and just look at them. Like, man, I don't think I can love nothing more than this. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than God, I don't think I can love something like this. And like you say, relationships. If you have a breakup, you probably never felt like you can experience the hurt that you have. But when you think about that level of hurt, it probably helped you. Like when you go in the next relationship, man, I don't want to hurt anybody like I felt at that particular time. If you experience real hurt or you experience real love, when it comes to love, you have a level of appreciation for that. When it comes to hurt, you probably don't want anybody to feel that level of hurt. So, yes, I do believe that God puts us in positions for us to experience certain emotions in order for there to be teachable lessons, if that makes sense. Hi, what do you do when you are of a particular age and you feel like you are past the time that you can do new things? How do you not feel like a failure as so much time goes by? That's actually my aunt right there. Shout out to my aunt. Thank you for checking out the podcast. But look, as long as you got breath in your body, as long as you're living, as long as you have an opportunity, I just think that people reach a certain point where they're like, man, my life is over. I'm this age, I'm certain age, you know what I'm saying? I got this responsibility. You always can find an excuse not to do something. Like seriously, like you can think about something that can always prohibit you. Because I mean, I know that from experience. Like when there was a time where when I was first starting out my podcast, I'm talking about my sports podcast, and I'm gonna get to you, Josh, in a second. I want to tell this story, but I remember when I first starting out this podcast, and I was nervous. Like I was like I wanted to take the podcast to the next level. I wanted to like I felt like I could. I had the content. I felt like I had the ability, but I wanted to start doing interviews. It was like around the first time, and it was like something in the back of my mind. I was like, man, I don't think I can do that. Look, ain't nobody gonna want to talk to me, man. I'm small time. I'm small potatoes. And I'm at the time. I'm just sitting behind a little computer desk. You know what I'm saying? I got the box propped up. You know what I'm saying? So my laptop, can see my face. Yeah, And I was like, ain't nobody want to talk to me, but I had to have a level of courage. I'm like, why not me? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's stopping me from doing this? Me, right? If you believe that you're too old, or if you feel like you're not fast enough, you feel like you're not strong enough, guess what? You are what you think you are. But you can always think outside of the box and always don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. Always try to aspire to be better than you are now. And like I said, you can always find reasons why you can't do something. Always. Like, rather, you know what I'm saying? Rather is like I feel like I work too much. I feel like, you know, I ain't got no money. Like, if you're motivated to do something, I say this, like, if you're motivated to do something, you're going to stop at nothing to make sure that thing is possible. The worst thing that you can do is allow your dreams to die. Like, I mean, that's why affirmations are so important. Affirmations are extremely important to speak positive things in your life, to remember who you are, right? I have affirmation like next to my mirror in my bathroom. Every morning I look at it and it says, don't make excuses, get it done. Right now, That's been up there for a while. But at the same time, I look at that from time to time when I'm probably feeling my lowest and look up like, oh yeah, that's there. You know what I'm saying? And you have to like confirm, you know what I'm saying, reconfirm that inside of you. If there's a place that you wanted to go, if there's something that you wanted to do, as long as you have an opportunity, the activity of your limbs, your ability to be able to get up in the morning, you can achieve that. And don't, like I said, don't ever just feel like you can't. Because if you feel that way, then I mean, you're going to convince yourself. So my thing is like continuously you know what I'm saying, like reconfirm, reaffirm over and over again. You know what I'm saying, over and over again that you can do it. And trust me that you can. But just don't quit on yourself. Always believe in yourself. I mean, that's the worst thing in the world, you know, when you feel like you can't do something. But deep down inside, you know what I'm saying, like you really can. You know, and I think that some people, like when they go through life, sometimes they feel like I got this going on, I got that going on, and they forget about themselves. You know, that's why it's very important, like to think, like as much stuff that may be going on in your life. If you're, you know, a parent, you got a job, you got all these responsibilities, you always want to take time for yourself, because at the end of the day, if there's no more you know, I mean, what can you do? So always remember that you always got to be your best self in order for you to be better for others. Rather you feel like you helping that person or not. You know, I'm helping this person, but you're probably not helping that person like all the way, because you're not all the way there. Like you can't really be truly in the moment if you're thinking about other things, or you know, you gotta think about yourself first. Put yourself first and never stop dreaming. Never ever stop dreaming. Don't ever do that. I don't care if it's like when I was 10, I wanted to go to Disney World, and now I'm 41, 42 years old. I ain't never gonna, nah, no. You know, always envision that moment. Now, I'm just using Disney World for an example, but whatever you want to do, you know, make sure that you never forget about that dream. Keep that dream alive and continue to try to pursue it. And there's always different dreams or different things that you can, try to do. Don't put yourself in a box once again. But we're gonna go to Josh. Josh, how you doing, man?
Hey man, before I get started, I wanted to tell you something.
Hmm.
You say you finally figured out what love is, right?
Yeah.
Because there's this old rock and roll group named Foreigner, and they're still trying to figure out what love is. I don't know if you ever heard that, so they might could use your help.
Yeah.
You
Well,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah,
I
man.
want to know what love is. Remember that one?
Nah, I honestly I never heard that song, man. I
Oh
never
man,
have.
that song is
I'm
so
at
famous.
I'm gonna have to check it out, man. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Well, I got a bit of bad news actually. Remember how I told you this whole thing's going on with my landlords and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, today's the day they decided to strike, so I've got a 7-day notice to vacate on my door.
No,
And
man. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
that's okay. You're still down to do an interview about this, right?
Yeah. Like I
Yeah,
said, I mean, I'm down to do it, and like I said, if I'll be happy to do like be a moderator so you can tell your story, man.
I
So
appreciate
I don't mind doing that. I'm sorry that you dealing with that, man. So I mean,
it.
what have you like? But let's discuss this, man. I mean, I ain't trying to get be Debbie Downer or nothing, but how are you feeling right now as far as this, and you know, I mean,
Both
how's what kind of situation or mind frame you're in right now?
it's both dejected and determined. I mean, you can't help but feeling dejected when the same day something happens, right?
Yeah,
Something bad. You're going to go through those feelings. People
right,
tell you don't get dejected, don't cry. No, forget that. Cry when you need to. Just make sure that once you're done crying, you get back in the fight.
right,
So I'm dejected, but I'm also determined to take these people down. They've been harassing me for like a year, and the reason they want me out, it's not has to nothing to do with no non-payment of rent. I've always been caught up on rent.
right.
To make a very long story short, a, a couple with like some kids moved in above me a year ago.
Right.
Kids are like 10 and 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They allow their kids to run around above me all day, every day, constantly. So a lot of times I'll hit the ceiling and yell to get them to stop running,
Right.
so that I can I can focus on some, so I can read, so I can work, so I can have some peace.
Right.
And the assistant manager here that just took over a year ago doesn't like me. So every time she hears that I bang the ceiling to try to get the noise to stop, she was like sending me rule violations and asking me for meetings and all this and that. But she never addressed the family that was causing the problem. So to make a real long, we'll get into this when we do the interview, but to make a real long story short, I just kept asserting my right to basic peace and quiet.
Right.
Because she tried to threaten me, saying, if I go upstairs to knock their door or leave them notes or anything, she'll evict me. And that's the threat I've been living under. So I finally, the last time that I banged the ceiling, she came to my door herself. Now, I've never heard of a landlord coming to someone's door because they hit the ceiling a few times.
Right.
And then when she came to my door, I could not believe she came to my door. She kept yelling at me that I have to accept the noise because it's children making it. I'm like, no, I don't. Especially after a year of this nonsense. So anyway, I stood up to her, and now I've got this eviction threat notice to evict on my door. Been a quiet tenant here for 7 years. So because some assistant manager doesn't feel like I have the same rights everybody else has. So that's the longest story, very, very short. But that's what I'm that's what it is with me. So that's, I guess, the bad news. The good news is I can access money because I know this. I stole the bank account number of this guy in North Carolina. He runs some kind of podcast. Oops, wait a minute. Did I say that out loud? I'm just kidding, man. But I thought you'd like that one, man.
And man, look, I did look, honestly, I just feel like, I mean, it's unfortunate that that's happening to you. My advice would just be, I mean, have you did like a paper trail, or what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
kept
I have
documentation
saved
and stuff like
everything.
that. Right. I mean, that's the first thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that you want to do.
I've saved everything. I've got all documentation needed to prove that the manager's been targeting and harassing me. Problem is, I need to find an actual lawyer to represent me. But once I find one, it's a pretty open and shut case, because like I've saved everything, and I've got video footage of her. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So, but you were talking about bad things happening, making you stronger.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if it wouldn't been for my past experience with bad things and trauma, something like this might hurt me worse than it's hurting me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm hurting, but I'm not like giving up on life or some crap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if I were just some normal average guy who nothing bad's ever happened to, I might think not that my life is over, but like this situation is way worse than, it actually is in reality. It's funny because I went through some bullying as a kid too. I think I alluded to that to you. Every once in a while, I'll turn on the news and there will be a story, and I'm sure you've seen these stories, about like a 10-year-old girl who killed herself because her classmates spread a rumor about her, and they were bullying her for a month, and she didn't think there was any way out, so she killed herself, like at 10 years old, right? One of the things I think when I look at that stuff, besides the sadness of it all, is thinking that, man, this girl killed herself over 1 month of what I went through for years. And then I realized God blessed me with an extra internal strength that not everybody has.
Right.
And so, I mean, and a lot of it has been built through going through trauma, but some of it is like God given too. So, I mean, I thank the Lord that I was able to survive a lot of stuff that a lot of people couldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think going through trauma makes you stronger. I think growing through trauma gives you a huge advantage over people who have never been through anything. Because people who have never been through anything, once something does happen, they fold.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why it's very important, especially like parents that got kids, or if you have like nieces or nephews, to affirm things, like, what I'm saying, like speak positive thoughts into their minds. Like people people don't understand, like what they say, a kind word goes a long way. That's why, when I go to stores, right, um, I look at people's name tag and I call people by their name. And my wife was like, you know them? No, I mean, I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who they are, but I want to acknowledge that person and let them know that I appreciate what they're doing for me. It's things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the little small, gestures. Like telling your kids that they smart. You can go through anything. You can talk to me, and really develop that and open that relationship up where they can feel comfortable. Because sometimes people are crying in the dark, and they cry in the dark because they feel like nobody understands and nobody cares. And especially in this modern day society. See, I was having this conversation with my wife earlier, and we were talking about the difference between like people growing up in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Like, we knew what life was like without a cell phone, really. I mean, you used to pay phone. I think we was the like, that generation where you transition from house phones to cell phones, from not having internet, two-way pages and text messaging. Like, we understand that, what I'm saying? And we kind of understood, like, if somebody don't like us or if somebody don't appreciate us, like, it's not the end of the world. But this society now, it's like these kids, it never goes away. Like, if you got bullied at school on Monday through Friday, at least Saturday and Sunday you can go home. You ain't got to see that person. Like, you ain't got to talk to them, and you have your family and stuff like that to speak to positivity, and you ready to go back, the next week. But man, these kids, if they get clowned at school on a Friday, they go on social media, they following the same folk, and they still seeing this stuff over and over and over again. And if they don't have that level of assurance, that self-esteem, or that's something that triggers inside their mind when they go through these situations, like, I'll be all right, it's not gonna always be like this, then they might end up choosing the other, alternative, which is, losing their lives. So that's why it's important, man, to try to speak positive things, man, into people's lives, man. And I think that's something that's kind of missing. Social media kind of destroyed, is a positive thing and a negative thing at the same time. It brings us all together. We're here right now because of social media and the internet, but at the same time, it gives us this false illusion of what the world really is supposed to be, rather. And we find ourselves feeling like, oh, we're not a part of the in crowd, or we're not a part of what's in, and some people don't know how to deal with those situations. So that's why I say, man, show somebody some love, man. If you see somebody doing something that's positive, don't just sit back there and be like who they think they are. Like, encourage that person. I mean, because some of the people you may think the strongest, or the ones that's you feel like got it all together. I mean, think about this. If you have a strong friend, if you're strong, right, everybody's going to lean on you to be strong. So who do you have to lean on? You're the everybody, they're going to be all right person. Like, everybody knows that person. Like, they're going to be all right, man. They can always give great advice. You got to be able to check on even the strongest people in your life. All right. So, but man, I'm looking forward to, like, having a conversation where we be able to map out the story and you be able to express yourself and stuff like that, man. So
I would appreciate that, because it'll get some eyeballs on my channel. I need some eyeballs on my channel right now.
Yeah.
But can I add something to what you were saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so part of the problem today too is, as far as like with the kids and the social media and bullying,
all right, is
that the law is way too involved in our lives these days. What I mean is, like, back in our day, if you had a bully who was picking on you for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, eventually you stood up to that bully and smashed his nose, or at least tried to. And a lot of times that would kind of end it. These kids today don't have that option, because there's cops in all these schools, and if these kids, somebody could be picking on a kid for a year. The minute that kid picks up his fist and sticks that bully, the cops are going to take that kid to jail and treat him like a criminal. So that we've put our kids in a situation where if they're getting bullied, they really do have no choice whatsoever but to just sit there and accept it. And we gotta let our kids learn to fight their own battles again. And that'll go a long way in stopping the social media bully. Because if I was a kid right now and dudes were talking smack on social media, I would just put word out there on Facebook or wherever they were bullying me at. And I said, hey, which one of you is going to have the nuts to say something to my face when I'm at school tomorrow? You ain't got nothing to say now? Shut the fuck up, you know?
Oh, man.
And I bet you that shit would stop 90% of it. You know what I mean? But we know the kids don't even have that option nowadays. We got to get the police out of our lives and stop treating every fist fight like it's some kind of criminal thing. Let these kids fight their battles so that they can stand up to their bullies on their own. They should learn to stand up to their bullies on their own anyway, so that they know how to like handle life as adults. You know what I mean? Because there's always going to be bullies in your life in one form or another. The adult world does it differently. So they should learn to stand up to their bullies at a young age so that they can handle life when they get older. You know, I mean, does that all make sense to you?
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but I just feel like it's a different world that we live in. Like
but we created that world.
Yeah. This world to me cares like as when we were young, we cared about what people thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, you wanted to dress, you know what I'm saying, dress nice, you wanted to have a fresh haircut, you wanted the girls to like you. If you're a girl, you want the guys to like you. Like, we all did that. But here's the thing. Our lowest moments, you know, like let's just say you're in a classroom, right? You're in a classroom, teacher asks you, look, come here real quick, and you get up real quick, you trip over your desk. Everybody in that classroom, you know what I'm saying, gonna laugh. Outside there, you can explain that to them, another person, like, man, they tripping in the classroom. Or, you know, you laughing because you actually have a vision of it. But the other person might chuckle. But now it's like, if I get in a fight with this person, I stand up for myself, I might lose. And, man, somebody might videotape me losing. And they're going to have this over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. Like, our lowest moments aren't as televised or publicized as some of these kids now. Like, I would be remiss to not mention that there are certain things that we had advantages, you know what I'm saying, growing up, when we didn't have social media at our disposal. We didn't have videotaping, pictures, and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying, to kind of make us unassure, you know what I'm saying, unassure us about certain things. So I do have to take that into consideration, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to it. It's this lack of confidence that kids have. It's that extra thought in the back of their mind that when we were kids, we didn't even have to think about. So if I go over here and I stand up for myself and I lose this fight, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I lose, but you know what I'm saying, I get my dignity. But what happens
what else can anybody really say to you? Because half of them won't even have the balls to fight their fights like you did. So what can they even really say to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, look,
they're still going to talk.
Josh, that's a completely different moral compass. I'm being serious, man. Our way of thinking as I'm 30, I'm 35, right?
Yeah, and I'm 22.
Exactly. Our way of thinking is different, you know what I'm saying? Because we grew up in like with a certain mind frame. And I think that, man, no matter how long you live, you know what I'm saying, like, things gonna pass you by and things gonna slip through the cracks as you get older. Yeah. And some of the things that some of these kids endure in today's school, you know, like we didn't have that. I'm serious. Like, you lose a fight, people might talk about it for a couple of days, right? But you lose a fight now, everybody and their mama have that on video. So I don't care. Like, yeah, man, that person, you know, they running for president, but look, they got slapped up in high school. Like, watch this. You know what I'm saying? Like, over and over again. So, man, it's kind of hard for like us to like kind of like kids today to kind of just get that stuff out their mind when they have things out there that can constantly remind them of their lowest points. So, but Josh, I got to go ahead and go, man, because we got to be wrapping it up soon.
Okay.
Switch gears to what everybody want to talk about, you know, when it comes to the sports podcast. But thank you, man. I appreciate it, and call back anytime.
Okay. I'll see you later, TJ. Thanks.
All right, man. Take it easy. Yeah, man. I mean, it's different, man. Like, just think about that. Okay. Back in, you know, I graduated high school in 2004. Like, I can imagine like how things would be if every fight was on video. Stupid, I don't want to call it stupid, but like ridiculous, embarrassing moments were always out there. Like, we didn't have that, man. Like, seriously, we didn't have it. You know, we didn't have to worry about that. Hurry up and buy. Thank you for the $5, and also for another $5 says, "Dang, little bro, I needed to hear this. You have no idea." Well, man, that's what this show is all about, man. It's about, you know, man, talking about issues and like, man, just being able to release, man. We need an outlet. We need outlets. So, um, I'm gonna go ahead and take these final two, man, because we got to wrap it up, man, because we racing against time here, man. We about to go switch gears to the State of the Saints podcast. So I'm gonna go to Mike, and then I'll go to Chosen. Mike, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna give you like a few minutes, man, because we about to switch to the State of the Saints. How you
Uh,
doing, man?
Hi, now I have a couple stories, alright? They're sweet
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
short, alright?
Uh
So
huh.
the first one, alright? So obviously I'm in school, right? And
Uh huh.
so there's this thing that used to be called that you know what PE is, right?
No, I don't.
Well,
Explain that
yeah,
to me.
it's basically like where you get to do different like exercises and
Oh,
sports.
PE. Oh, PE. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Yeah.
course. Phys ed.
Well,
Yeah.
my school has it called athletic movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the greatest when it comes to sports. Like, yeah, I
Right.
can throw a touchdown here and there. Yeah, I can hit a three from here and there. But obviously, everyone has their moments, right? Well, we
Right.
were playing baseball, and I don't
Right.
really play a lot of baseball.
Right.
But so there's this one Friday, and I remember it was a Friday because I remember I just remember it was a Friday. So I went to hit the ball, and it went over my head. So that was counted as a strike.
Right.
And then when I went to swing at it, and when I went to swing at a different one, it went over my head again. So, and then everyone was basically calling me a loser and stuff like that. But then the next Monday we were doing baseball again,
Uh huh.
and I was called up to bat,
Right.
and some people were just like, "This man ain't gonna hit shit, dude." And I hit a home run, and everyone shut their mouth and was chanting my name.
Oh man, that's great, man. Look, I mean,
Yes,
but you're overcoming adversity, man.
exactly. That's like an underdog story, man, for the
Yeah,
decades.
man, that's a great
And
underdog story, man.
and
And that's
also,
yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
there's this other story. All right, earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my younger sister, and my mom went to go to my younger sister's appointment, and they
Right.
went back and during dinner, my sister explained something to me and my other sister
Right.
that they saw a Karen. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And this Karen had a child of her own, because when the other guy Josh was on here,
Mm-hmm.
when he was explaining the kid stuff, it
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of when the parent was acting stupid again. So th- uh, they were sitting next to my sister, right, and my
Mm-hmm.
mom, and the Karen, uh, wait, no, the Karen's child was saw something on the TV, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like cooking stuff,
Right.
and the child said, Mom, what fast food is that? And then the Karen was like, "It's not fast food." And also then the Karen was like, just kept saying that over and over. Then the Karen was running around
Mm-hmm.
and basically forced the kid to drink an energy drink
Energy drink. How old was
at
this
like
kid?
6 or 7.
Oh no, no,
Exactly.
that's
If
way
I'm
too
there,
young.
exactly. If I'm there, I'm calling the cops. I don't know what the mom was doing. And also the
um,
mom, I'm just gonna call her Karen because her name has to be Karen. There's no other. Like, so Mrs. like they called her Mrs. Johnson.
uh-huh.
So Mrs. Karen Johnson decided that she was going to basically blame the kid for why they were still there.
Hmm.
Cause they should have like their point, like the mother's, not the child's, the mother's appointment. The mother brought the kid to the appointment, and the mother's appointment was at 2, and blamed the kid that they were there until 3. It's like, dude, what is the kid supposed to do? He doesn't even have a phone, and yet you're blaming him for things that he's not ready to be blamed for yet. And like, dude, that's literally child abuse. Like, it's like mentally abusing the kid, man.
Right.
Cause like, dude, like especially when the mother was running around,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I didn't see this, but my sister basically explained it. The mother was running around, and the kid and was leaving the child all alone.
Well, I mean, that's unfortunate that
Exactly,
happened.
man.
That's unfortunate, man. I mean, look, man, that's why, like, if you have a parent, that's very instrumental in your life, and I mean, it's a blessing, man. Like, seriously, like, to be able to, have a parent, when you're young, like, like when they I got whooping. I don't know what people doing today, but when I used to get
I
whooping,
don't
like,
get whoopings. I don't get
exactly.
whoopings and stuff.
Right. Well, I did. So at the time, it's like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why it's happening, but as you get older, man, you have an appreciation for the authority that your parents ran the house with, because you know what I'm saying, it helps you, and also, man, it teaches you lessons, man, because everybody don't have it. It's like when I used to go, when I was in school, or I see people, and I know I can call my mom up when I'm in college. I can ask her for some money if I'm short. I don't have any. And then you have other people like, man, you can call your mom up, man. She gave you money. Like, yeah, man, I wish I could. Everybody ain't able. I'm like, everybody ain't able. Like, you think about, like, it's like stuff like that you take for granted. So people that have parents that's instrumental in their lives, and like, it's very important, man. It's great to have that. But Mike, I'm about to go ahead and wrap it up, man, because we about to switch to the State of the Saints. So, man, feel free to check out the State of the Saints, man. Like, we about to go live in there about a few minutes, man.
I'll definitely watch that.
All right, man.
Who that?
Who that? All right, we're about to finish it up. Let's see. Great show, TJ. A blessing to all ages. Appreciate that. Those bots, bro. Yeah, man. Shouts out to all the moderators, man, working hard, making sure that stuff on there is ridiculous. But I noticed, man, the more your channels grow, more of that stuff happens. Man, I'll be looking at the comments, or saying shouts out to the YouTube team. They be working and deleting that stuff for me. I appreciate that. I enjoyed the show. Love you. Appreciate that. Thank you for checking it out. Shouts out to my aunt, man. Josh and therapy time. Therapy time is over. Thank you so much for checking out the Therapy Couch podcast. And I ask that if you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search the Therapy Couch podcast or Therapy Couch podcast, and also previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. So till next time, be happy and be healthy.